glad to be with you guys tonight. So I met some of you out playing and eating pizza and stuff like that, but my name is Val. I live in Lakewood. I live close by, but I'm doing this project that you probably heard about at the Connect conference, and it's called 10,000 Questions. And what we're doing is we are collecting a literal 10,000 questions. Actually, tonight might be the night, depending on how many questions you all have, that will hit 4,000 questions. So we have almost 4,000 questions already collected, which is great.
Yeah, give it up, give it up.
Oh, thank you. No, clap for your peers. Clap for your peers. Because we've been collecting questions all over. It's been awesome. We've been collecting questions at church youth groups. We've been doing it at after school programs. We've been doing it. Does anyone in here play football? Do you have any football players? Okay, nice. I actually was in Santa Fe, and we did a pre-meal for the football team, collected like 200 questions from their football team down there. We've been all over the place. It's been awesome. So I am so thrilled, though, to be able to be back here close to home and collecting questions with you guys again tonight. One of the things that people always ask is like, okay, why questions? You know, like there's so many different ways, so many important things that we can be talking about. There's so many things in the Bible. There's so many things that are important, like why questions? And I think that the reality is that all of us have questions. Some of us have really big questions. Some of us just have like things that we think are weird. Some of us have, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you are a middle school or a high school student, or if you're an adult, or if you're a pastor. Everybody still has questions. And sometimes those questions actually turn into doubt. And we're like, oh, we have these questions like, what am I allowed to ask? And what am I allowed to say? But actually, questions and doubt are just a normal part of maturing and growing, and especially learning to follow Jesus. Because whenever we ask questions, we like take a step towards growing when we pursue finding answers to it. So one of the huge things that I'm talking about is like, no, we need to feel free and open and willing to ask our hard questions, because the answers to those are really important for us as we learn to figure out what our faith is and what it means to follow Jesus. So with that being said, I just want to start with this. What are some things that keep us from asking questions? So not even like big questions about God or like something like that, but like what keeps us from asking questions even in like math class? Like what keeps people from asking questions? Yeah.
Fear of embarrassment.
Yeah, fear of embarrassment. Why would you be embarrassed?
Not only classmates, if you lost something,
Yeah, absolutely. You know, my sister's a teacher. I get it. Yes. So you might be embarrassed, like, of what other people will think of your question, or what your teacher even will think of your question. Yeah, for sure. What are some other things? What keeps us from asking our questions? Yeah. Anxiety. Yeah, anxiety definitely keeps us from asking our questions. What else? Yeah. Girl, let's go. Yes. What is your name? Ashlyn.
You're supposed to be up here with an answer like that,
I was
girl.
gonna say,
Come on.
put Ashlyn up here. Okay, I think that is such an honest and true. Oh, sorry, that's my fault. I think that's such an honest thing. What she said was, sometimes we are afraid to ask a question because we really don't want to know the answer because we might have to change something. Okay, is anyone honest enough? Like, I agree. Like, I still do that. I'm an adult. I still do that. Has anyone ever done that before? Been like, I'm just not going to ask so that I don't have to know? Is there anything else? Any other things? Yeah. Yes. Thank you. That is such a good answer. Getting rejected or feeling like lonely afterwards. Like getting shut down completely, or maybe you've had someone be like, don't ask the question, you know, like, or completely do that to you, whether it was with the snap or not, like they said it with their tone. Maybe you've been there before, or a parent or a teacher or somebody like shuts it down really hard, and then you feel kind of like alone and vulnerable, like, what's wrong with me? A lot of these things, does anyone have anything else? Anything else that's kind of like burning in them that they want to say? Why do we not answer questions? Oh, yeah. Yes. Right, because this happens in school all the time, right? Like somebody asks a question, you're like, she just answered that. Right, or something like that. And then you're embarrassed. Or my older sister is like off the charts, super smart. And so I always was like, these teachers are going to know that I'm the dumb O'Brien. If I ask a question, I'm just not going to ask anything. But what I've really realized as I've thought more about questions is that usually what keeps us from asking questions is some sort of fear. That we're afraid of something. We're either afraid of the answer and what it's going to have to do. We're afraid of the people around us and what they'll think of us. And so we just keep those questions locked inside because we're afraid. And sometimes, like, let's just be real, like the things to be afraid of are real. Maybe somebody would judge us. Maybe a teacher would be harsh with us. Like, I'm not saying those things aren't real in the world in which we live, but I will tell you this, that when it comes to the hardest questions that we have about God, about life, we do not need to be afraid to go and ask Jesus those questions. Right. There is no question that Jesus is afraid of. And one of the reasons I know that is because I've read about it in the Gospels, in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, where Jesus is going around, and all the time he's asking questions or being asked questions. It's like hundreds all throughout the New Testament, all throughout the Gospels. Has anyone here ever heard of John the Baptist? Okay, what do we know about John the Baptist? Just shout it out. I won't call on you. What are some things you know about him? He's a Baptist. The very first Baptist. The very first Baptist. What else? What else do we know about John the Baptist? Yeah, shout him out.
Sort of like Robin, he led the way.
Yes, he led the way for Jesus. What else? He baptized Jesus. Yes, that was a very on his life. Yep, that was a very important one. What else? What else do we know about? Most likely related to Jesus. Yes. Yes, he was. He was Jesus' cousin. Jesus' cousin. Yep. So good. What else? There's a couple other really important things. There's one thing that's does anyone know how he died? Yes, he was beheaded. He got his head chopped off. That feels notable, right? Does anyone know? Oh, yeah.
He ate honey and milk.
Yes. Oh, yeah, this is the bingo card. This is John the Baptist bingo card. Yeah. So he ate locusts and honey. He wandered around. He had one mission from the time he was born. He was Jesus' cousin. It was told to his mother while he was still in the womb that he was going to have one job, and that was to
Prepare the way.
Yes, awesome. To prepare. You guys, see, I don't even need to be here. Y'all are writing my talk. His job was to prepare the way for Jesus, to tell people that he was coming. He had one assignment, and he did it awesome. So he wandered around. He ate locusts and honey. He baptized a whole bunch of people, not just Jesus. That was what he spent his whole life doing. He's actually so good at it that he landed himself in jail. And he landed himself in jail for calling out the king for having an affair. So he calls out the king for having an affair. And the king is like, well, I know the only way we can shut you up is to put you away. So they put him in jail. And from jail, John's friends come to visit him. And John is not well in jail. He is really struggling, and he is asking some really hard questions. This man who spent his whole life following and preparing the way for Jesus actually landed himself in jail for being bold about proclaiming the truth. Ends up in jail and tells his friends, I have a question, and I need you to go ask it to Jesus. And the question was this, it was, are you the one, or should we look for someone else? And he essentially is saying to Jesus, was all of this for real, or is it not? And did I just waste my life? That's a huge question. That is a huge question for John the Baptist to be asking Jesus. So his disciples go and ask him. They find Jesus. He's in the middle of teaching. It would be like if one of my friends like came in and interrupted me right now and was like, Val, I have something very important to tell you. I got to ask you right now. Jesus is in the middle of doing something. The friends come in. They're like, we got to talk to you now. We've just come from John. And they tell Jesus the question. And Jesus does not say like, John, are you even serious right now? Like, you've got to be kidding me. Go like tell him to like pull himself together down there in jail. No, he doesn't do that. He actually is so gentle and kind to the disciples and in his answer to John. And he doesn't act embarrassed. He doesn't go like, guys, excuse me a minute, I got to handle something, and like walk off stage. In front of everybody, he answers John's question. The friends leave, and he looks at the crowd and says, of men born of women, so everybody, of men born of women, there is no one greater than John the Baptist, and you can be like him. And so if Jesus himself, and then John was beheaded, that was the end of his life. But his disciples went back and talked to him, and we believe that John ended his life faithfully following Jesus. But if Jesus is not afraid of a question and a doubt like that, then we do not have to be afraid of those questions either. And so tonight, we're going to try to answer as many of your questions as we can. And everything is going to be anonymous. I'm going to show you guys how to use this app in just a second, but everything we do is anonymous, and so you can truly ask whatever it is that you want. I've given you guys a card in front of you also. So you're going to be able to text questions in, and they'll appear on the screen. But also, if you have a question that you feel is just like either too personal to put on the screen, or just you're feeling any kind of way about it, or it doesn't really fit a prompt, but you really want to put it down, please just write it on the card. And if you put it on the screen, you don't have to put it on your card. So just, you can use those cards however you want to. And we're just going to answer questions tonight. And whatever, we're not going to be able to answer all of your questions, much less all 10,000 tonight, 4,000 almost. But I want, if you remember nothing else from tonight, if you remember none of the answers, if you remember none of the questions that you even asked, I want you to know that wherever you find yourself, and when you have hard questions, and when you have doubts come up, whether it is this year right now, whether it's when you're in college, whether it's when you're an adult, when you're an old man or woman, that Jesus is not afraid of your questions. And you can go to him, and he wants to meet you in those questions. And he's met me in my hardest questions. So that being said, let's do some Q&A, shall we? We're gonna do some Q&A. Okay, so the way that we're gonna do it, first of all, let's introduce our illustrious panel here. These are the geniuses that will be answering your questions this evening.
She must be talking about y'all.
Josiah's shaking his head.
Genius is generous.
I'm so thankful for these guys and their willingness to do it. But do you want me to introduce? No, you go ahead and introduce yourself.
So my name is Josiah Silva. I'm a youth pastor at House of Praise. I'm 26 years old. I just got married in July to my wife, Sadis, in the back. I love the Bible. I love teaching the scripture to students. I've been doing it for 5 years now. And I'm excited to see where these questions take us. Please give us some good ones.
Yeah.
My name is Joe Gonzalez. I'm the Family Ministry Director at Church of the Open Door in Lorain. One of the reasons that I sort of began ministry is when I was growing up, I never really had anybody that talked to me about the Word of God. And I always wanted to be that person that I never had. And so that's what I try to continue to be for my community. And Lorain is just a guy that people can depend on, but not because I'm a good man, but because God is.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah.
You want me to,
Mr. Chad, go ahead.
I'm Chad Painter. I've been the youth pastor here at Hope for going on 8 years.
Crazy.
I love student ministry. I love you guys. Middle school and high school students have been the people group I've been involved with for a long, long time. And I'm motivated with you guys to do ministry with you guys because I came to faith when I was barely 19. I just turned 19 years old. And I know how many questions I had, and I wanted to really know, is this what I stake my belief in for the rest of my life? And so I wanted to get my questions answered. So I was discipled by older, wiser men than myself. And to this day, I hang out with wise people, wise counsel, to keep myself sharpened, as Proverbs says. And so these are some guys right here that I really love that I meet with about once a month for coffee, and we chop it up and we talk the Bible. And we talk about how do we do youth ministry the most effectively and love young people and teach them the Bible. And then Val, I've known for a couple years. She's a good friend now as well. I meet with her like once a month in another like book study. We're always trying to keep ourselves sharpened too. And how do we engage youth? And so I'm excited to have you here. She runs Aspen Ministry with this 10,000 Questions project.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to tell them it's on Instagram.
No. What was that?
I don't know if you want to tell them it's on Instagram.
Oh, yeah, it's on Instagram. Actually, this week we are launching our podcast.
Starting up?
Yeah, we're
Let's
starting
go.
the podcast this week. So in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little QR code, and that's for our Instagram, and all of our stuff will be on there. So we're going to start answering questions with it.